Dark store. I heard this, and I haven't heard this term before. And here's this story coming out of entrepreneur.com, talking about some of the retail trends in e-commerce that we'll see this year. And what stood out to you here?
Well, first thing I recognized was, hey, kudos to us for combing the globe to bring retail stories to our audience, Rob. This article was originally published in the Spanish edition of entrepreneur.com, and I was probably drawn to it because of this missing component in my life. I'm totally missing the normal travel that would happen in my schedule, that it does include several weeks in Mexico. So I kind of glommed onto this thinking
You're missing that one. Well, I gave you a good excuse to polish up on your Spanish for the weekend.
Listen, polish is not what I need for Spanish. It's not polish it. It's really, dig it out, learn it again. I can order a beer. I can order a White Russian. I can say please and thank you, and maybe a few other things.
Your linguistic priorities and that's firmly established.
Yeah. So let's go back to this. Maria Arcia is the author in this article on, again, entrepreneur.com. We always have links to these things in the newsletter, so make sure you're there. And so some e-commerce trends that have been identified for 2021, she sort of highlighted what her e-commerce trends were. And the biggest one for me was the potential shift to dark stores. And a dark store is generally or typically known as kind of a warehouse that's either used to facilitate a click and collect, a click and pick up, service, where a customer would order and then come and pick up versus coming into a store, or this idea of it being a fulfillment center for online stores only. Now, not every retailer, every one of our indie retailers needs a dark store, but as we grow our online channel, as we start to gather a bigger, wider audience in that e-com channel or online channel, so does the challenge of fulfilling customer orders from our traditional, open for business retail stores that have really been built, Rob, to showcase products and experience, whereas a dark store is not built that way. Well, we look at the traditional dark stores that are out there, or the existing dark stores that are out there. They are just big warehouses that are fulfilling sort of online business. And I talk to retailers on an ongoing basis about the challenges of fulfillment from within our displays, our current displays. It's a pain in the ass, man. And not to mention the ongoing issue of I just sold 2 of an item and I only own 1 of them.
Right.
So the remedy for me is, yes, of course, a fully integrated POS e-com platform with fulfillment from a cost-effective locale, cost-effective solution. And Rob, we may even see some of our current brick and mortar retailers migrate away from that traditional retail storefront to occupy what I call destination spaces in industrial sectors where rent is a fraction of the cost. Occupancy is a fraction in an industrial destination store, building entity than what your traditional brick and mortar is. And as our prowess grows, as we strengthen that e-com channel, it creates other issues for us, especially when we're ripping apart our displays to fulfill an order. Right. That display that we, unboxed, steamed, hung, put it out to showcase, where 20 minutes later it goes back into a bag or a box and popped out the back door, which is a good problem to have.
Totally. Yep.
It's a good problem to have, but we're going to see more and more people opt. We're going to guide more when it's appropriate to steer into a warehouse location that we fulfill from, and the store and the e-commerce marketplace now need to be planned as the entities that they are.
Yep. Well, geez, we had that story link in the newsletter last week. Small town Alberta retailer,
right?
getting a 10,000 square foot warehouse, and I was there's their dark store, if I'm not mistaken, and to that, do you think that's a big challenge today? Like if you were starting today, what does that mix look like in your mind, Dan, when you talk about getting that cheaper, warehouse space versus the retail side? What would you say to someone?
Let's just clarify what I think is going to happen. I believe that retailers that have a strong existing brand have the ability to pull themselves out of that downtown location and move into an more industrial type area because they already have a following.
Right.
And we're really looking for something that has a bit of warehouse space, racking, shelving, fulfillment, and the ability to create a showroom. If you're that store that does all of your own photography, now we've got to have a photo studio, that is this ever-changing entity. Yep. And we need a bigger footprint. We can't do it necessarily in our small footprint stores. And so if you're a multi-door retailer today, a warehouse space is probably in your future, or should be in your future, because of the cost of fulfillment that you're going through today, the pain of fulfillment. So I'd say to a retailer, if you want to have 1,000 to 2,000 square foot store, let's tag on the back of it a 2,000 to 3,000 square foot warehouse, and you're going to create yourself a bunch more opportunity for better fulfillment, easier fulfillment, and still the ability to bring a consumer into the front door. Yep. So there is a way to build a hybrid that doesn't have to be, the dark Atchison Amazon grocery warehouse.
Yeah, it's interesting when you look ahead and you think of what is the cost of allowing a customer into my store, be it the parking or the aisles and people and all of that. And it's going to be such an interesting mix going forward.
And Rob, we don't ever utilize or use our occupancy cost as part of the customer acquisition expense, but it really is. And let's go back to Doug Stevens, the retail prophet, talking about the true power in a retail brick and mortar storefront is customer acquisition. It's not selling goods. It's an advertising medium. Well, do I need to spend $50 a foot or $30 a foot if I can do it for $15 a foot and build as beautiful a space and spend money driving people to that location? If I have a brand already, maybe I can do that.
Yep.
It used to be location. Oh, totally. And I'm not suggesting that it's not one of the key success factors, but I'm saying that I can buy traffic to that location probably easier than I can pop myself on the West.
It's a very interesting discussion of the mix now of that customer acquisition. Like you say, it wasn't long ago that you pay for it all in your foot traffic, but now it takes a different mindset.
It's different. It's completely different. And Maria did a good job. Again, Maria Asia did a good job in this article of highlighting some other trends that she's seeing. Works one-on-one with big retail stuff. So you should read this article. I just pulled out the dark store because it's not something we've really talked about. But I'm engaged with clients in that exact conversation. We're not using dark store terminology, but hey, we're all about buzzwords around here.